That's correct, Heather. The assistant manager and another associate at the store tried getting away with cash and items. However, now they are in custody and facing several charges. Just after 10 Wednesday night, police were called to this Family Dollar for reports of a robbery. One man watched it unfold.
I was coming down a circle headed toward my home on Arlington Drive and just glanced over and saw like 4 cops. 2
employees are accused of causing the commotion. Assistant manager Martilius Bryant and an associate Alejandro Pablo drove up to the store, walked inside, and bound 2 employees with duct tape.
Just surprised. I was not expecting it was going to be 2 employees that robbed their own store.
When officers arrived on scene, they were able to determine that the 2 employees left in their vehicle because of fresh footprints in the snow. Bryant later returned to the scene and was arrested. Police were able to determine Pablo was involved based on victim statements.
I think it's kind of messed up. Like, if you're going to have a job, then why, steal from your own job?
We contacted Family Dollar Corporate for a statement. They would not comment. As for the stolen items and cash, a search warrant executed at Bryant's home led police to everything. Customers called this bizarre robbery a lesson for hiring managers.
Be careful who you hire. Watch who you hire and keep an eye on your employees.
Bryant and Pablo both had their initial court appearance today. Their next court date has been set for December 20th. They're both facing several charges, including robbery. Live in Colorado Springs, Angelica Lombardi, KRDO News Channel 13.
All right, we'll continue to follow that one. Thanks, Angelica. Well, now let's turn it over to Storm Tracker 13's Mike Everett, who has a pretty cool science experiment for us. Mike?
We had a lot of fun outside of the KRDO studios with that cold weather last night. This is photojournalist Vince Autry. Let me show you that again in slow motion. That's boiling water. He's throwing it up into the air. It was about 9 degrees when he did that, but with the wind chill, it was actually in negative territory. Look at that. That was instant snow right there. Now, some of it did land as water, but very, very cool in every sense of the word out there. Very, very nice job. You know what? We woke up to some beautiful sunshine today. Silver sending in this fantastic photo. A lot of us in southern Colorado got a chance to see the return of the sunshine, courtesy of those upper level winds switching around from the east and allowing a lot of that upslope flow to finally settle out and a lot of that moisture to mix up into the atmosphere. And that gave us a chance to warm up today. Big time. 51 was what we got today in the Springs, 43 in Pueblo, 51 in Lyman, 45 in Springfield and Trinidad. Took a run at 60 and made it. 43 was what you saw in Alamosa, 49 Salida, even 30 in Leadville. That's pretty impressive. 37 in Grand Junction, 44 today in Durango. If you're wondering how much warmer it is than it was this time yesterday, would you believe it's 33 degrees warmer in the Springs than it was 24 hours ago? 25 in Lyman, 22 in Denver, 14 degrees warmer in Springfield, 31 degrees warmer than it was this time yesterday in Trinidad. That's a recovery. Temperatures right now in the lower 40s in the Springs, 36 in Pueblo, seeing some low to mid 30s out towards the plains now, 33 in Springfield. Trinidad, no hurry to let go of the warm weather, 51 currently there right now. We're going to talk about how much longer we get to keep this little heat wave, and our next weather maker is off on the horizon. All the details are coming up. Heather, back to you.
All right, thanks, Mike. Well, for the first time since Tuesday, officers are off accident alert status. So that means they can respond to crashes and play catch up now that the cold and snow is on pause. KRDO News Channel 13's Katie Spencer is live in a neighborhood east of downtown. And Katie, you know firsthand what happens during accident alert status here.
Yeah, Heather, unfortunately, I do. This is what my car looks like after I hit black ice earlier in the week. It was one of 36 accidents processed since Tuesday. I had to only wait a short period of time for police to respond, but I'll likely be waiting much longer for my car to be fixed. After a stretch of snow and cold, the streets are finally thawing. But some drivers are still dealing with the aftermath, and we're not talking about wet streets.
The roads didn't necessarily look all that bad, but they were definitely icy and definitely slick, which again makes us have just an incredible amount of traffic accidents come in all at once, which overwhelms us.
The city just lifted its accident alert status, meaning any crashes that happen during the storms don't get attention.
If we can't keep up with them, that's when we make the decision to go to cold reporting.
Body shop owner Art Hansen says he's already inundated with calls.
The slip and slide stuff, I think like everybody, we're pretty busy.
Many of the auto body shops in town are booked out still from the July hailstorms, meaning it could be weeks, even months before you get in from this storm.
Because that summer hailstorm, the residue from that is just keeping everybody busy. So I think, unfortunately, it's one of those things that there might be just longer waits than usual.
Hansen has even pulled back on advertising because of the steady business.
A lot of our advertising is Google, and people find us through Google, but we've been able to cut back our Google AdWords a little, especially on hail.
But that means getting your car into the shop now that the storm is over could take a while. There's a small window to report those accidents that happened during the cold weather alert. You have 72 hours since your accident to file those reports. Live in Colorado Springs, Katie Spencer, KRDO News, Channel 13.
Well, just glad you're okay, Katie, after that crash there. Thanks for that report. The Broncos security team is taking a threatening letter that was written to linebacker Brandon Marshall very seriously. Marshall received the letter containing racial slurs 2 weeks ago. The Broncos have been investigating ever since. Marshall posted the letter on his Instagram account today. Among other things, the person who sent it wrote, "If you're so unhappy with America, turn in your millions and move back to the jungle." In Marshall's post, he says the letter shines a light on an issue he has been fighting against, adding the hatred by some against people of color is one of the reasons we are where we are in the world today. Marshall says the person who sent the letter made sure he read it because the return address was Mrs. Jackson's 6th grade class, and the back of the envelope said, "We love you, Mr. Marshall." Funeral services were held for former CU football player Rashaan Salaam today. Salaam, CU's only player to win the Heisman, was found dead in a park in Boulder earlier this week. After winning the Heisman Trophy, Salaam entered the NFL draft where he was drafted by the Chicago Bears. He became the youngest player in NFL history to rush for 1,000 yards. Salaam's father, Imam Abdul Salaam, spoke to the funeral crowd about the importance of life and the responsibility we have to one another.
That's all I have to say. I'm glad to see here. I'm happy to see here. Be aware and definitely be concerned about your last day and your preparation for your last day, because that's what people remember.
An investigation into Salaam's death is ongoing. However, Boulder police have confirmed that foul play is not suspected. A memorial service was held today for former Air Force football player Carson Byrd. Byrd, a retired captain and 2008 graduate of the Air Force Academy, passed away November 26th after battling a rare form of bone cancer. Head coach Troy Calhoun says, quote, "Carson was a pure fighter, and that's physically as well as spiritually." The native of Georgia was a 3-year starter for the Falcons and was a communications officer after graduation. He was also an assistant football coach at the Academy's preparatory school. Carson Byrd was 31. For the first time in American history, heroin-related deaths are higher than gun homicides. According to data obtained from the CDC, there were 12,989 heroin deaths in the U.S. in 2015, slightly higher than the 12,979 gun homicides. It's a big jump from 2007, when gun homicides outnumbered heroin deaths by more than 5 to 1. Heroin deaths have been steadily rising in the U.S. The DEA found heroin-related deaths more than tripled between 2010 and 2014. The sharp increase has lawmakers scrambling to find solutions. Congress passed several bills this year to help combat the problem. We have new information on the Russia doping scandal. A new report by the World Anti-Doping Agency says more than 1,000 athletes across 30 sports benefited from state-sponsored doping. The report builds on its initial finding that is, published in July, and alleges, quote, an institutional conspiracy among officials within the Russian Ministry of Sport. The report by Canadian law professor Richard McLaren says a cover-up was in operation between 2011 and 2015. 2016. McLaren also claims the swapping of urine samples took place during the Sochi Winter Games, and it became a regular monthly practice of the Moscow laboratory. President Obama is ordering a full review of Russia's hacking of the 2016 election. Homeland Security and counterterrorism advisor Lisa Monaco says today the administration would be careful about revealing investigation results to the public. The review is expected to be done before President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration January 20th. Trump has repeatedly denied a Russian tie to election-related hacking. Over the last few days, President-elect Trump and United Steelworkers Union President Chuck Jones have been feuding after Jones took issue with Trump's claim he'd saved more than 1,000 jobs from going to Mexico. Jones corrected Trump, saying the number of jobs that may be saved is closer to 730 because some of the positions Trump included in his figure weren't going to Mexico in the first place. Jones says it rubbed him the wrong way that Trump called Carrier's CEO wonderful just a short time after he changed his mind about sending jobs overseas.
Now, since he talked to President-elect Trump and we're saving 800 jobs, he's wonderful. I mean, you know, I didn't really understand the logic.
Jones says, however, he hopes to someday sit down with Trump and save more jobs. Wildlife is out and about in southern Colorado basically year-round, but now is the time when deer are often out near the roads. We'll tell you when you should especially be watching out for deer. And the world giraffe population is steadily declining. Find out where they land on the official watch list of threatened and endangered species. A warning for southern Colorado drivers. Wildlife is out and in full force right now. Sights like these aren't uncommon this time of year. During deer breeding season, deer are out and near roads, especially during between 5 and 8 a.m. and between 5 p.m. and midnight. Colorado State Trooper Andrew Marceau says, as tempting as it may be, if you see a deer in your path while driving, brake and do not swerve.
If you do see an animal that's staying on the roadway, best thing to do is just slow down, stay in your lane, avoid everything you can do to try to swerve to avoid the animal. Typically by swerving and avoiding the animal, you're going to cause yourself to roll, which could cause serious injury to you or the people around you, or you could lose control and hit another vehicle that's around you.
Coming up at 6 o'clock, we're talking with a driver who says he's lucky to be safe after a head-on crash with a deer and has a message for all drivers. The world's tallest animals are in the process of a silent extinction. That's according to an international conservation group. The International Union for Conservation of Nature says the wild giraffe population has dropped by about 40% over the last 30 years. The report found that there were 163,000 giraffes in 1985 to just over 97,000 last year. Giraffes are now rated as vulnerable on the official watch list of threatened and endangered species worldwide. And looking ahead to later tonight, the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo's Electric Safari is about to kick off in just a few minutes. The Electric Safari runs from 5:30 to 8:30 nightly until New Year's Day, except for Christmas Eve. Santa Claus will be taking holiday wishes each night through December 23rd. Select animal exhibits will be open throughout each night, including the Giraffe Barn, Asian Highlands, and the Monkey Pavilion. Tickets can be purchased until 7:30 each night and cost less than $10. Mike?
That sounds like fun. Brenda found a rare and exotic Broadmoor deer. That is a 5-star animal right there. Very, very posh. Your full forecast is coming up. Monument, Colorado looking a lot better than it did this time 24 hours ago. Check that out. Lots and lots of blue sky out there. We saw a lot of that across the region today. Traffic moving well, and again, that sunshine and those warm temperatures that finally got above freezing gave us a chance to dry up and see a lot of thawing taking place. But as you head out tonight or in the early morning hours on Saturday, be aware that there is a lot of black ice out there. Even for pedestrians, it's going to be slippery, especially on sidewalks where everything melted. Another gorgeous shot. This is our Mortgage Solutions Oakland's Financial Neighborhood Weather Network camera, North Union and Montebello. A beautiful, beautiful silhouette of America's mountain. And again, traffic moving well on a Friday evening. Peak gusts today. Well, that wind switched around to the west. That's what allowed us to warm up today and get rid of that snow along the I-25 corridor, but did come with some big gusts in Cottonwood Pass today. 58 knots translates to 66 miles an hour. That coming in from the west-northwest, and that is what allowed us to clear up and warm up beautifully. In fact, if you take a look around the country, you remember that cold air went all the way down into Texas yesterday. Well, now we're right on the edge in the spring, so we're 42 here. Bismarck, -6. It's 6 in Helena right now, 27 in Kansas City. You saw that game last night. It was very cold there. And finally, Miami getting down into the 60s today. They're busting out the sweaters for sure. It's 42 up at the airport right now in the Springs, 36 in Pueblo, seeing 44 in Salida. Trinidad 51 after getting up to 60 today. 33 is your number in Springfield, 31 in Lamar. Live HD Doppler radar showing today's snow starting to wind down in the high country, but more where that came from. In fact, we've got winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings we'll talk about in a moment. Putting SkyCast into motion, our friends out in the eastern plains will see some of that low-level cloud cover. That could translate to some fog in the later hours tonight. That'll clear up overnight, but here comes the next round of that mountain snow. If you are planning on heading up there, get on it early because by Saturday afternoon it gets busy, and then overnight, Saturday into Sunday, Snowmageddon sets in here, expecting another 12 to 18 inches of snow with 50-mile-an-hour gusty winds on top of that. So great for the resorts and for the snowpack, but it's going to be dangerous driving. Those winter weather alerts again go into effect Saturday afternoon, stay in effect through Sunday. Everything you see there in red is a winter storm watch. Overnight lows will get below freezing again. That will refreeze a lot of that stuff that melted today, but not to the extent that it was last night. And then highs on Saturday just build on that. We're going to see lots of 40s and 50s across the region. It's going to be a nice weekend. 52 is what we get in the Springs on Saturday. We pull that back to 46 on Sunday. Wind picks up, and we do see the potential for a little bit of flake action late Sunday night. And then it's Tuesday into Wednesday that we're expecting things to get cold and stormy again. Wednesday looks like the busier of the days there. We'll keep an eye on that. But bottom line is get out and enjoy this warm weather this weekend. Pueblo 55 Saturday, 53 Sunday. And those overnight temperatures, well, they'll be below freezing, but no single digits until we get to the late part of next week. Fremont County 57 on Saturday, becomes 51 on Sunday. You've got a chance to see some stuff fall from the sky Tuesday into Wednesday as well, and then back to the deep freeze you go. 30s during the day, teens overnight. And Teller County 44 on Saturday. There's going to be a whole lot of melting going on, and then back to the 30s and 20s you go, with a chance to see some flakes late Sunday night, and then again Tuesday night into Wednesday. Wednesday looks like it could be an active day, and then Heather, those temperatures go back to the 20s during the day and single digits overnight.
Yeah, still not as cold as what we just experienced, do you think?
Yeah, it'll be a little bit warmer, but again, cold is cold.
Yeah, I totally agree there. Thanks, Mike.
Sure.
Well, an early morning fire south of Richmond, Virginia destroyed more than a dozen boats. The fire started at the Richmond Yacht Basin, destroyed 15 boats, in fact, some of which stayed moored while others floated downstream. Firefighters say all of the people on the boats were able to get to safety and everyone is accounted for. Many owners were understandably upset.
Put a lot of work into that boat to restore it. And it was a beautiful boat, 42-foot Trojan, 1967. And we've spent a lot of money and a lot of time restoring it.
Several boat sheds were also damaged or destroyed. A fire spokesman says it's too soon to determine whether the fire was arson or an accident. Here's a look at how stocks did today. Surprise, surprise. The Dow hit another record high today, up 142 points. The Nasdaq also went up, closing at 5,444. And the price of an ounce of gold dropped $10.40. We'll be right back. And let's take a look at those traffic conditions outside. Here's a live look at I-25 in Fontenaro. Heavy traffic there, but really not a whole lot of snowpack to speak of. A lot of it has melted off today, thank goodness. 3 Colorado State troopers have died in the line of duty in the last year and a half while responding to roadside accidents. Coming up on KRDO News Channel 13 at 6 o'clock. Find out if drivers are taking notice of the deaths and if they're actually moving over. We tested the numbers, and they may surprise you. That's coming up after World News. And up next on World News Tonight with David Muir, chilling images from the trial of Dylann Roof and the latest on the Trump administration. We'll find out who's in and who's out. And a final look at your weather forecast with Mike.
It's going to be a dynamite weekend, but there's a couple things we got to work through first. We've got some of that low-level cloud cover to mix out, and then out towards the eastern plains tonight. That will all move out towards Baca County, Kit Carson. That'll clear out pretty quickly overnight. It's that new round of mountain snow that's moving in. Don't forget, winter weather advisories and a winter storm warning are in effect from Saturday afternoon until Sunday afternoon, and that's exactly why right there. It's going to snow hard overnight. Great for the resorts, great for the snowpack, just not a whole lot of fun for driving.
Yeah, they're ready for that. Thanks, Mike. And thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you back here at 6.